Hi, my name is Fred. Welcome to the Epic Endurance Podcast, where we take a deep dive into endurance, strength, and conditioning. Today we're going to talk about how to estimate your finish time on the bike based on a course, especially if you have a power meter. First thing we need to understand is that there are a couple of components that do impact performance or speed on the bicycle. Number one would be the amount of power you're able to generate, expressed in watts, so that is your work. The more power you have, the faster you go. Number two is going to be your aerodynamic, how much wind you're taking in the face and how much this is slowing you down. A better position on the bike will reduce this drag, this aerodynamic drag, and will allow you to go faster at the same power. We have CRR, which is the coefficient of rolling resistance, which is the energy lost through the wheels when they're rolling. So if your wheels are well inflated, if you're using good tires, if the ground surface is acceptable, then your rolling resistance will be lower and the amount of watt that you will lose through CRR will also be limited. You have other factors that are external, like how much climb do you have to do and how much weight you're carrying. So if you're a heavier rider and you have to do a lot of climb, then forces of gravity are going to matter more and more, and your weight will impact your performance. Most of athletes will concentrate on power, and increasing power is a direct reflection of fitness. It is very important and arguably the most important thing to do. People that are specialized into time trial will often look at aero, and the saying aero is everything is quite relevant. You can lose a lot of power at the same speed. You could be riding at 35 kilometers an hour by pushing 140 watts or by pushing 200 plus watts. This is a significant difference for many athletes. So 20-30% of your power can escape through aerodynamics, 10-20 watts can escape through rolling resistance. Note that to utilize this, you will need to have a power meter. Power meters are a little expensive, but they are arguably the best way to pace yourself in a course. Pacing yourself through heart rate is decent, as it might show how much effort you're doing. It prevents you from overburning yourself. Although heart rate might trend with temperature, stress, and dehydration through the race. Pacing yourself with speed is difficult, especially when you do have gradient involved. So if you're going uphill and downhill, or if you're passing people, you can be affected by environment, and therefore your pacing will be maybe sometimes a little too hard, sometimes too easy. Ideally, when we pace ourselves in a race, we want to try to maintain, especially on longer races, maintain an even power to reduce the metabolic cost. Going very high and very low and doing this kind of jigsaw work is more taxing on the body than maintaining a steady effort. If there are some variation, it can be also pleasant on the body, but too much variation is quite demanding. So let's look at this calculator. This is called Bike Power to Finish, and you need to have power meter. Power meters come in form of pedals. Some of them are in the hub or in the crank, and basically they calculate torque, these rotational forces that you apply on the pedal, and give you a number in watts. Single pedal or two pedals if you're looking at a pedal system. I don't recommend using single pedal, as there might be some differences between your left and right leg, so it's better to use a more complete system. So here we have first, like always, you can choose between metric and imperial. You have your tire condition, your rolling resistance. So here is at 0.035. I just directly inputted like what kind of tire you're using, and if you're inflating them correctly. We made another video about tire pressure, which I recommend watching. Normally like 0.35 or an entry level might be somewhere here, but we're going to just choose average. And your position, so if you're professional, might be this is going to affect your CDA, this is going to affect the CR, is going to affect if you want to tweak it, you can have it here. 0.98 is extremely good, and this is mostly for professional time trialers on short distance and very aggressive position. Let's put a novice. 3.7 is okay, that will be an entry level posture, probably with aero bar or a aggressive position onto the bike. Here we have our weight. I'm gonna say 80 kilos because I've been eating quite a bit. The bike weight, we're gonna put at 8, clothes and gear, let's say 1 kilo of that. Maybe we're carrying some water, so let's say we have 3 kilos. And drivetrain efficiency, we're gonna leave it at 98. This is the amount of energy that is being transferred through the drivetrain, through the chain, and there is always going to be some energy loss because of chain alignment or the way also the efficiency is calculated. I would recommend leaving it at 98%. We are doing half Ironman. We are going to choose a course. Let's see. I am going to pick on another window very quickly. I went to the Ironman website and it shows a race called Zell am See, which is in Kaprun in the Austrian Alps. This is a hilly bike ride. The temperatures are quite nice with an average temperature at around between 16 and 30 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna put like around 18 degrees Celsius. The altitude of this race is mostly at around 750 meters. Because the loop, I'm just going to leave the wind as 0 if I'm coming back. So if you're looping around, you might have the wind in the face when you go there and the wind in the back. If you're very unlucky at this, you might always have the wind in your face. Fitness is a number that you will find on some training planning software. Basically a reflection of the amount of work that you have been doing. They call it fitness, which will be probably more accurate to call it metabolic resistance, so how much volume you can take. This is not going to affect the amount of power you will need to complete this race, but how fatigued you might be. So I'm just going to put something like we managed to increase this fitness level around 120. I'm going to put my FTP here down to 280, and I want to do a 2 hour and let's say 30 minutes race. It's going to be quite difficult. As you can see, this is an extreme workout. Is recommended average weight at 280, so it's going to be difficult to do that. Basically maintain these FTP for 2.5 hours, very unlikely. You have the average gradient, the average speed, obviously this is based on the finish time. This calculator, like I mentioned, is giving you how much power you need to output to achieve a certain time. So unless for example, if I was to lose 10 kilos, which is not going to happen, then obviously this is going down to hard workouts, probably due to the heel. So we have a change in power requirements. So let's go back to 80 kilos. And let's say if my FTP or critical power, which we'll talk in another video, was around 300, and we're still a hard workout. We are at IF of 93, which is probably a little too high for this kind of duration. We have the stress score calculated based on the time and the intensity factor. The workout score here is based on your fitness level and the stress score, which will be reflected from your critical power FTP and the necessary wattage to complete this. So let's say we give up on doing 230 because it's quite a challenging course, but we want to settle on 245 on this course. This is a moderately hard workout, probably less likely to impact our run. Intensity factor of 0.74 is probably better for this kind of distances, so speed is impacted. So this is how you can know and how you can play. You can see also different configuration if you were to improve your aerodynamics. Let's say we're switching to maybe a 2.5 advance, 0.25, and here, well, we'll say this is getting pretty easy, so we want to go faster now. And our FTP went down because it didn't train so much. And still, this is an average workout, and we're achieving the same speed at 211 watts. Whereas when we were having a pour, we had to do almost 70 watts more. So when we say aero is everything, aerodynamics will impact quite a bit. And this is without the wind. If you're taking the wind toward you, then of course the impact will be much greater. You can play a bit with this. You can change, see, like, if you had better tires, you can see here I saved 10 watts, which is quite substantial. If you had premium tires, they will be very good. Tires are really pretty good. Premium tires, perfect. Obviously this velodrome kind of condition, but premium tires are very expensive to wear off. Your chances of puncture are quite high. Good performance tires are really pretty good. Pros will probably go with this kind of tire as well. So you can play with that. As you can see, like if we're going to use aerobars advance, which will be closer to what a pro triathlete do, and let's say they were doing this into 2 hours, and we had an athlete that was about 70 kilos with a bike that was about 7 kilos, same course, same distance. He has this premium tires, and he's able to do that at 273 watts. Obviously his FTP is not 280, it's probably something like 380. We can see average workouts, probably push a bit more, be 150 on this course. So you can see also how professional can play with this, and what kind of the differences in terms of effort that they have to do. I hope this is helpful. Obviously this will work only if you have invested into having a power meter. I do think that having a power meter on your bike is a great investment to maximize the efficiency of your training. It will not replace having a trainer at home. A trainer at home will help you have very solid and consistent high intensity practice at home without being disturbed by traffic and environmental condition. But there's nothing really that beats power meter on the bike for pacing. And yeah, that will be it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope you have a good one.